Now, if you were with us last night, we mentioned there weren't that much in terms of new headlines in Russia lately. However, we do have some new news. Not while the president was clogging up the news when it came with disastrous comments on Charlottesville, his standoff with North Korea, his near unhinged rally in Phoenix, and so on. It sucked the oxygen out of the news cycle. But as we said last night, there is news coming down. The Trump-Russia investigation continuing, headlines soon to come. Turns out we only had to wait 24 hours for them, and they're coming in droves. I want to bring Andrew in with the very latest because it's both what lawmakers are saying or not saying, and also what we're starting to get leaking out of here as to the state of the investigation.
And we're going to start with something we haven't talked about for a while, Rich, the Trump-Russia dossier. Remember, it's the one that contained the tidbit about Trump's alleged hotel room tryst in Moscow, if you will. Senate Judiciary staffers spent 10 hours meeting with the head of the investigative firm that helped compile the dossier, that meeting yesterday. And while portions of that dossier have now been confirmed, very little of it has been proven false. Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley saying he'll work to release the transcript of yesterday's meeting, all 10 hours of it. At that event, Grassley also said he wants both Donald Trump Jr. and Paul Manafort to testify before the Judiciary Committee and in an open and public hearing. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, CNN is now reporting that there was another attempt to try and forge a connection between the Trump campaign and Russia last year. Investigators reportedly found an email from a top Trump aide looking to arrange a meeting between campaign staffers and Vladimir Putin. The email came around the same time as that now famous meeting at Trump Tower happened last June. That aide, Rick Dearborn, is now a deputy chief of staff in the Trump White House. And more reporting of more tension between the president and some Republican members of the Senate, and it's all over Russia. Now, yesterday, it was a Times report that Trump was angry with Mitch McConnell because Trump thought the majority leader hadn't done enough to protect him from the Russia investigation. Now it's Politico noting two other Russia-related clashes, now fraying relationships between the White House and the Hill, just as Congress prepares to deal with a budget, a possible government shutdown, and the debt limit. In a call with Tennessee Republican Bob Corker, Trump lashed out at the Russia sanctions bill that he eventually had to sign, arguing with Corker that sanctions were not good policy, that the bill was unconstitutional, which makes no sense, and could damage Trump's presidency. Corker voted for the bill, as did 97 other senators. Trump also reportedly picked a fight with North Carolina Republican Senator Thom Tillis over a bipartisan bill to protect special counsel Bob Mueller. In a call that was described as blunt, Trump told Tillis he was unhappy with the bill and didn't want it to pass. Now, that bill has yet to be voted on, Rich, but it is one of the things that lawmakers are likely to take up when they come back to Washington.
And Dominic, if you think of the consequences of the horrible week, not just last week, but just using last week, and we said it before, Republicans aren't afraid of them anymore. And the Twitter rant where, oh my God, you can have somebody that's going to primary challenge you or whatever. I think we're going to learn in Arizona, for example, the nut job that he's all but put his arms around, she ain't going to beat Flake. And other people are going to take notice as well. So the point is, it's fascinating to me with everything going on, how much time and energy, and obviously non-familiarity with how checks and balances are supposed to work, let alone authorities. He's trying to make Republicans still make this thing go away. And any attempt to even box Russia in, he's still asking them not to. And at every turn, they've told him where he can go, in effect, albeit more politely.
Richard, all the president is doing as it relates to Russia with his behavior is greatly escalating and accelerating things. In terms of, we debated, as you would lead the discussion, night after night, when would Republicans stand up to him? They're no longer protecting him. And so I don't understand. You are attacking your allies more than you are attacking Democrats. So, Mr. President, what do you think that means for your agenda? And when the prosecutors come on Russia, and it is my strong contention that they are indeed coming, because they got their heads down and they're focusing, Mr. President, who's going to defend you? You have attacked almost every major Republican. They are taking glee at going after Trump now.
Richard, the idea that Chuck Grassley, by the way, for folks who don't know, he runs the Judiciary Committee, that senior Republican on that powerful committee, that he today on live TV said, yeah, I'd like Manafort and Donnie Jr. to testify in an open hearing on live TV, and not dismissing that dossier that everyone thought was just titillating without substance. And apparently McConnell part of his frustration with the president wasn't just Charlottesville. The president cursed him a blue streak because he wouldn't make the Russia thing go away, not that it was prerogative to do it anyway. That says a lot to me.
The really interesting thing isn't why it's taking so long. Well, it is why it's taking so long, because they dislike him and they would prefer Pence. Removal of Trump is in the interest of the National Republican Party. Now, what you have up against that is the base, the electoral base. They're afraid of voters and dislike Trump, and that dynamic is leading you to this up and down sine curve, some days in, some days out. In the end, you're going to figure out about Trump, like a lot of other people, the only thing he understands is strength. If you want him to come to the table, he's got to feel threatened, and I mean politically threatened.
Yep.
And to do that, you have to stand up and take the hits and give some yourself.
The lawmakers may like Pence, but as you said, the voters seem to like Trump a whole lot better. It's not like Pence is bringing animal magnetism to the Republican
If you
Party.
don't have a primary for the next 4 years, you're okay.
That's one of the big problems for the Republican Party. Look, at every step in this, Trump keeps looking guilty. I mean, as defensive as he is about it, as much as he tries to get it to go away, as he overreacts and snaps at people, I mean, so there's that. He just looks incredibly guilty. But then all of this other stuff that's been eroding the president's support, Charlottesville and North Korea and all, he's balanced on a pinpoint right now.
No, he's not.
He
He's
is.
at 80% and he's down
He's balanced
among Republicans. He was at 91.
Welcome back. He's balanced on a pinpoint right now in terms of
mean that?
one more
Well,
push and
but
it goes
here's
over
my
the edge.
question.
And imagine one more
Okay,
damning
but here's
Russia
my
story.
question. To Richard's point, and I fundamentally disagree with you, not about the numbers, although they're a little inflated, they're a little under 80%, but when you look into some of the micro polls as to whether they trust him, whether they think he has any moral compass or whatever else, my point's this. What could come out of the Russia investigation that could get the base to say,
Nothing.
but it's Russia, Richard. It's not like we're dealing with the French
You're
or something.
missing the point.
Everybody hates Russia.
The base, by
Miracle
and
on
large,
Ice,
doesn't
remember?
think he's a nice guy. They don't think he's smart. They don't think he's got the right policy.
But if
don't
he isn't a
care.
patriot, but if he's not a patriot, there's some in the base who say, hold on.
Will his numbers go down a little? Yes. But there's a culture war and a political war, a tribalism to American politics now that is not affectable by rational
The
discourse.
president is not going to, my prediction, he's not going to finish his term, and somebody, probably not the president, is going to jail.
But he's not-
Somebody in his family, maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's pointing to his son-in-law.
but to Richard's-
He is not, the president is not going to finish his
To Richard's
term.
point, he's not going to lose his base because why do you think he's been doing fake news left and right the whole time? So when
To get away from
when
Russia.
the headlines come, his base will be like, nah, I don't believe it. I believe Trump.
And that's what I just got back
But
to
you know what?
Montana.
At a certain
There's
point,
too much of that going
right,
on out
At a
there.
certain point, 30-something% is only 30-something%. All right, coming up next, Charlottesville. As the political and personal come together, we're going to hear from two area lawmakers as worries mount about what might happen next year and just how ugly this thing could become. Stay with us.